Hey, I just got back from seeing the movie End of Watch. I thought I'd record some thoughts about it. End of Watch is a new cop movie. It was directed by a man who's basically made his career doing cop movies. He wrote the screenplay for Training Day, and he also wrote the screenplay for that movie SWAT, which is pretty underappreciated, I think. And uh, and one of the cool things about this guy is that his movies tend to specialize in just your average police officer, the beat cops. When most people think of cop thrillers, they're tending to think of like mysteries, detectives, investigators, stuff like that. But movies like End of Watch are a little bit more rare, where you actually see just your average cops, driving around the neighborhood in their day-to-day lives, just doing stuff. And I really kind of like that part of this. And the movie begins with like a voiceover monologue that really kind of in my mind, really sums up what it's like to be a cop. And then, better than pretty much any other movie I've seen. And yeah, at the end of the movie, there's a point where we expect somebody to make a big speech, but what is actually said might seem to be a little bit, maybe not enough, but in reality, it really is exactly what needs to be said, because it's really what the entire movie's been about. Uh, End of Watch stars Jake Gyllenhaal as a LAPD officer. His partner is played by Michael Peña, and these guys have basically been partners for a long time. They become best friends. They consider themselves as brothers, more or less, and that really is what the movie is about. Just the sort of like camaraderie and brotherhood that forms between police officers as they go about their day-to-day lives. I mean, the movie is focused on these two main characters, and we kind of see other police officers drift in and out, or when certain things happen, or when they have to meet with each other for something. But that's the way it kind of reminds me of a movie from last year called Rampart, which also featured a main character who's your average beat cop who kind of drifted in and out of me meetings involving a kind of a big cast of other people who just kind of have to deal with them. The difference is, the main character of Rampart, who was played by Woody Harrelson, is basically the embodiment of what people see as the bad cop, the corrupt officer. The characters in this movie, played by Michael Peña and Jake Gyllenhaal, are basically the embodiment of what you would consider good officers. These are just your average cops who they're doing their job. They're doing their job because they know it's a job that has to be done and they believe in it. I mean, they're not necessarily nice all the time, because they have to deal with people who are being hostile towards them, but they have their hearts in the right place, and that's really what makes them just such good police officers. Now, this movie doesn't really have a strong plot wise, because that's because the movie is basically supposed to be about what it's like just to be a cop in day-to-day life, and it's really kind of cool how the script kind of has a little balancing act, because on the one hand, he's trying to invoke just your average kind of boring day-to-day life of the police officer, kind of just driving around talking with your partner until something comes up and you have to investigate. And on the other hand, he has to try to develop a plot that unfolds as it goes along, having characters form connections to things that will later pay off. So he kind of has to do a balancing act between kind of the banal, dull, average cop stuff and a real plot that has to build towards a kind of sort of action climax. I think he does that very well. A really good job at building a story here that's respectful to police at the same time as it's being turned into a sort of cop thriller plot sort of thing. Now, the way the movie is shot is also kind of interesting. This is we kind of done in that sort of a handheld camera, found footage, jitter cam sort of way. And the way they justify it is by saying that the character played by Jake Gyllenhaal is taking a film class at a community college that he has to take as a kind of an elective for his law classes, and and as part of this film class, he's kind of like he's kind of starts to carry around cameras to record himself on the job, almost as if he's going to try to make it into a documentary later. And yeah, I know there are quite a few people out there who don't really like the kind of found footage thing, like the handheld camera style, and I can kind of sympathize with that. There are some times in this movie where you're overly aware of the style, and sometimes overly aware of the fact that it's being held that's being recorded with handheld cameras that really don't seem to be available to be viewed, and other times the the combination of several different cameras going on at the same time, and the editing kind of makes you tough to tell things. But after a while, you really get used to it, and you're able to buy that these people, even though they're played by recognizable movie actors, you're able to buy them just as real cops, because these are just very good performances here. Gyllenhaal is good, Peña is good. The supporting cast is really good. We have America Ferrera appears in it, and Anna Kendrick appears in it. She plays Jake Gyllenhaal's girlfriend and later wife, and just the best thing about these guys, they're just able to invoke just that sort of camaraderie I talked about. The fact that they just work together, they're friends with each other. They're not necessarily nice to each other all the time, but when the chips are down, these guys really will protect each other and really will make sure that they have each other's back. And that's really what this movie's about. I know I'm kind of repeating myself here, but just that sort of strong bond between people really does create a very strong movie, and that's really what this movie's about. And that's really what the reason to see, just to see the strong relationships and the good performances here. There are really a couple of good action sequences here, although they are pretty low key, and there are some really kind of brutal things that you see going on as the characters try to investigate the crimes that they stumble upon in their day-to-day life. So yeah, this is a very good cop movie with strong performances and a really good sense of just really what it means to be a police officer. I say see it.